Hello, this is Pastor Tabitha Purple. Today we are doing a special edition of the In My Bibles. The edition itself centers on the Christian Standard Bible, and so if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch the video about the translation itself. There are several versions and variations that you can see in that video. We have the She Reads Truth and other Bibles that you can have a look at, and so please do watch that video to familiarize yourself with the translation. However, today I want to talk about a special study Bible that has been released. Here it is. It is the Tony Evans Study Bible. It should say the Dr. Tony Evans Study Bible, I think, and it's called Advancing God's Kingdom Agenda. And so this is the first study Bible that has been written by an African American. And that's why we're doing it today. That's literally why we're doing it. Now, I heard about this I think about a year ago, and I was very excited, to say the least, that this was coming out. Now, I don't actually know that much about Dr. Tony Evans myself. I know that he's written over 100 books and so on and so forth, and so keep up with him vaguely. I'm not an American, so I try to center my theological centers within the African, Caribbean, and European centers, being non-American. However, the fact that we have an African American doing a study Bible is quite something, and so this was released not too long ago, and I had the opportunity to get hold of a copy of it. It's damaged and so forth, so that's how I was able to get hold of a copy. Always sneaky. And you know, to be honest with you, it's quite a delight. Now, I've read some of the editions, some of the notations and additional commentary that he puts in, and I've got to say, from first impressions, I am absolutely loving it. For a lot of people, that won't make any sense to you unless you immerse yourself in Black culture, I think, to a certain degree. And I think that that would benefit everyone. You know, the reason that I wanted to do this video is to talk about the fact that representation does matter. We come from different perspectives and we read text in different ways. And culturally, we have different things in common with text and different things that are different with cultures. And so there are unifying factors here that would cause this to be something that is really important. So one of the narratives that we have to find, that one of the narratives that are important in scripture is this narrative of a people who were in bondage and that were free. And that narrative can find itself in so many different peoples around the world. And one of those groups, one of the largest groups that are on earth at the moment, are the African diaspora throughout the European, Caribbean, North and South America. And so they are spread throughout that period, and they've been spread that way because of bondage, because of slavery. And it's a different kind of slavery. We have to acknowledge that the terms of slavery have changed. What we think of chattel slavery is not the same thing that existed before chattel slavery was introduced, and so that's something to bear in mind. But the idea of freedom that comes from being within that system and then becoming free really mirrors the kind of language within the biblical narrative, and it then gives you a lot of commonality between the Old Testament stories and ways of looking at them in fresh perspectives that maybe a people group that have not been through that would not look at the text in the same way. So why do I say that? Because we know that the Bibles that were given to slaves, and we have a copy of the Slave Bible in American museums, were reduced down to account for that commonality, to account for the God that is a liberating God, the one that will take you out of bondage and make you free, the one that liberates the slave. And so the Bible was narrowed down from that perspective in order to keep people in bondage. And so the widening of the Bible to actually what it is, and to have people commentating on it that have that history, is really powerful because the connections are closer. The other thing to bear in mind is that the Bible is set within the North African, West Asian cultures. So this is North, East Africa, Southwest Asian culture at the time. Those are places that, of course, Black and brown people will have an identification with. And so having a Bible from such a respected scholar, he's one of the he is the first African American to earn a doctorate of theology from Dallas Theological Seminary. He has been named one of the most 12 effective preachers in the English-speaking world by Baylor University. And to have him then have the time and the energy, of course, because commentary on an entire Bible, six books and more, is an intense project, because you have to have a breadth of knowledge theologically about all sorts of different things and a base to speak from. But some of the commentary, I mean, when he gets to Sarah and starts to talk about Abraham and Sarah and talking about God's grace within Sarah's life, and the fact that she was given extra time to live to see her child grow up, and some of the just cultural nuance and feeling that has, really sheds a light on the text that maybe we haven't considered before. It sits within the text. Of course, we know Sarah's age when she has, and then we know Sarah's age when she's dead. So we understand the breadth of the task that's before us. But having someone commentate on it that comes from a different perspective allows for a different light to be shed, a different light to be shone on the same existing story that we know. And so one of the things that I will say is I really have enjoyed, it's new, I'm still looking. I'm looking forward to using this as my main Bible. Next year is this will be the Bible. I'm still in the Common English Bible for this year, but next year I'm going to be using the Tony Evans, I believe. And I'm really looking forward to digging into these sections about the commentary that he gives, looking particularly with a keen eye to the sort of otherness that we can find there. And I think that's really powerful. So I'm introducing this to you because I think it's a wonderful way to immerse yourself and decolonialize your religion. It's a stepping stone in that direction. It's a long road to decolonializing Christianity. Western Christianity is so far from the roots of Christianity, what it began as and what it is, that it almost becomes a stumbling block to itself in some places. And in some places we see that in the extremism that is born out in extreme nationalism and all of those sorts of things that have overcome the Christian identity, that Christianity needs to be decolonialized. It needs to be reimagined, put back into the roots, and not lose the things we've gained, because of course scholarship has worked incredibly hard over these times, so we don't lose anything, but we will lose something if we don't acknowledge our colonialization lenses with which we are looking at Western Christianity. And so I think this is a step in the direction for many people. If you are not in contact with an African-American scholar or a black scholar from the diaspora, or an African scholar or a Caribbean scholar or a Latin American scholar or a North African scholar or a West Asian scholar, if you don't have those people within your remit, within your circle, this is a really great place to begin that journey of asking those deep questions about how much of Christianity am I looking through the lens of white Jesus, right? How much am I looking through that lens and not seeing the Jesus that's written on the page? And how can I actually go through that process to decolonialize just a little bit, and just to, work through a better way forward? And so I think this is a great stepping stone from what I've read so far. I will do more. One thing I have noticed is every time I turn a page, there seems to be a QR code. And so there are more videos and extra notes and teachings that he has done to accompany this wonderful work. And there are many, many QR codes in here. So I look forward to digging in and seeing what they have in store for us. I like the fact that the commentary is done with such integrity. And I'm going to show you a page out of Psalms just so you can see the integrity that I'm talking about. The fact that it has artistic integrity. There are artistic points. There is the additional, not only is there commentary as a study Bible has below, but there is also devotional points where you can get an extra video, an extra pick me up. But then on top of that, we have the good old concordance down the side. And so we have all of this extra things that really are quite powerful. So I'm going to show you it, and then we're going to wrap off. I'm just going to show you Psalms 23, 22, 23, and then you can have a look at it for yourself. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so this is Psalm 23, like I was saying. So this is the Bible. I've got the lovely brown leather Tony Evans Study Bible it's in the Christian Standard Bible translation. Its whole ethos is about advancing God's kingdom agenda, and if you know anything about black preaching or about black theology, then you will understand the kingdom is very important. So it gives us these features. It tells us that, you know, it has a great design, but of course it has inspirational articles, 50 lessons, 60 questions and answers, 4 hope words, study notes that are crafted from his sermons, so on and so forth. So it has quite a lot packed into it. The digital links, like I told you about, there are 150 videos of sermons, devotionals and teachings of Dr. Evans. Woo! Like, if you really want to dig in, this is the way to do it, right? So this is Psalm 23. I'm not so concerned with reading the translation. As I say, we have a translation video, but I do want you to get a taste for what you can see. So even in the way that the page is set up, you notice here is the commentary. So here at the bottom, you have the commentary. Here you have the artistic elements when they pull out a verse and they make it a little bit bigger to give you some room. Here you have your concordance, and you also have the video entry, and here it's a video devotional, and it says, God calls us to walk through valleys at times in our lives, but he promises us his presence. And so that's a video to talk about that. Now I haven't looked at the video, so I don't know. As I say, this is my next year Bible. I'm prepared. I've bought it in advance. I'm looking forward to using it. As you can see, I love it very much, right? As I'm in love with this Bible already. But what you will notice in this is the refreshingness of the way that the commentary is written. It just gives this fresh perspective, and I'm really looking forward to really digging in. And it, you know, it talks about things in a different way than you would have in a Eurocentric version. And there's, you know, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with a Eurocentric translation commentary, is the word I'm looking for, but I do think that we have a lot of work to do to decolonialize our minds as it is with Christians, and this is a step in that direction. So I don't know, if you have the Dr. Tony Evans Study Bible and you have been using it, I'm going to start using it next year. So if you have already been using it, please do let me know your feedback. Tell me what you love. Tell me how it has inspired you. Look at this, questions and answers. Don't you just love this? Oh, this is about children obeying your parents. I think we won't read that on air. I'll let that one ponder over me for myself. At some point, I'll give that a ponder, and talking about the relationship between children and parents. But it's, you know, if you look in it, it's so many things, application questions, so much further study. And this is one thing I will say. I, growing up in the diaspora, growing up as a Caribbean child, living in inner city London, growing up, going and attending diaspora churches with black people, with family, you know, one of the things that you will know is that Bible study is like a critical part of who we are. And so seeing the way that this is laid out and has the extra questions in as a study Bible, has, you know, the extra bits to help you and challenge you to be able to teach, the application questions, you know, that link it to something else, that give you that instruction for teaching a Bible lesson. This is us. This really feels like a bit of home. And so I think it's really great. I'm thoroughly looking forward to really digging in. And maybe I do another video to tell you how I got on. But for now, this is next year's Bible, and it is the Tony Evans Study Bible. I hope that it gives you some inspiration on something that you can look forward to digging in. Okay, blessings. Bye-bye.